You're listening to the Changing Normal podcast, where we strive to outdo the old normal and reject the new normal. And now your hosts, Owen, Dan, and Ben.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Changing Normal podcast. This is August 18th. We've got the three of us here for an in-person roundtable.
Square table.
Rectangle table.
We don't do geometry here at the Changing Normal. So yeah, we're going to get into some cool stuff. We're going to talk about things you should have in your vehicle to make sure you get home, and some stories in the news. So what have you guys been up to this week?
It's been a pretty mundane, regular week for me. Nothing super crazy. Just my phone is now old by NFC and different technological standards. So
my phone doesn't even have that. So
well, it's like, it's interesting because that's what I was using. I was using the ShakePay card for pretty much everything. Like anything aside from like online purchases, which I don't make a ton of, or like recurring bills or whatever. And anyway, I went to pay for a meal while we were at Nationals a couple weekends ago, and I got an error message from Google. I was like, that's weird. So I tried it again. Nope. Okay, so I went to my other card that at least gives me grocery rewards, and I'm like, I may as well get something out of this. Anyhow, and I did a bit of researching, and with so Google Pay updated to Google Wallet. It's like a necessary evil to utilize the ShakePay card. And anyway, my phone is just too old for the NFC to work. So I've been very reluctantly dipping back into the new phone world and looking at that, because I would much rather get Bitcoin back on purchases than anything else. And of course, we don't have the Fold card, and we don't have any of those amazing things that the United States have as far as Bitcoin rewards go. But yeah, so aside from that, I've just been trying to promote the show and kind of they're called alternate social medias, or like they're just, some of them are blockchain based. So there's like Odysee, which is based off of the Hive blockchain, or Dbuzz is another one. It's basically just a micro blogging platform. It's like a decentralized Tumblr, more or less. But just trying to promote the show, because you plaster the Changing Normal podcast on Facebook, and it's like, why would I watch that? I like Facebook. I like Twitter. Yeah. Anyway, so I just doing that and kind of trying to remember all the different passwords and things. And I haven't actually made show profiles. I'm just doing it through my own thing, because I'm like, I'm not.
No.
I have thought about making a show profile for Float, though. If they ever get things, fully polished and get groups going or whatever. Yeah. But I do actually need to make a Facebook page just for kicks and giggles, I guess. But also started looking at generators, or at least trying to figure out what I would need. Dan and I were having a little chat about them before we started recording here tonight. Mostly just because I listened to a podcast by Jordan Peterson and he's a reporter, but he's been all over the world and different things, talking about plagues and famine and war. And
I listened to that show.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
it was a good one.
Yeah, real good.
I like how Jordan's he seems to be able to really like draw out what he's trying to get out of the person. Like, the person may kind of tangent, but he's like, oh no, let's talk about that for a minute. And you go, oh boy, he's like king of rabbit holes, really.
Yes.
But that, and then I just got thinking, like, the house I live in right now is all electrical based. So why on earth do I not have a backup, or at least, or even backup to a backup? So, we talked about it enough here on the show. I mean, I may as well implement it in my life. Big hypocrite.
Yeah, so that's mostly thinking about the heating aspect, especially for a power outage in the winter.
Yeah.
The electric heat. It is tough if you don't have some form of wood heat.
Mhm.
Probably propane in that case would be a good prep. I've even thought of adding that to my own preps because I don't think it's that expensive to add in some sort of propane heater, but then you have to actually make some calculations about like what risks are as far as carbon monoxide in a house if you're trying to run backup with some sort of basic propane.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy familiar with propane. It's a different trade than what I'm in, but anything that they would run that would be a propane heater, which would be uncommon around here.
Hmm.
But I'm sure you can get. Well, you can get some of those buddy heaters or whatever they're
Yeah,
called.
it would be like the emergency,
Yeah,
backup.
that's right.
Pretty primitive where you put it in the middle of a decent
Right. More of a
sized
space
indoor
heater.
area, and yeah. So I think you could, if you handle it carefully, I think it's something that could get you through a bad cold spell anyway.
Yes, that's right.
Well, there was like, did you hear about the massive power outage in like the southwest quadrant of the province? Like if you went from Fredericton,
I don't know if I heard about that or not.
yeah, all of Charlotte County, the whole,
Okay.
like a massive chunk of the province was all completely out of power. So that was another thing that sparked it.
Yes.
Like, you get on your horse, start getting this stuff sorted out. But,
Yeah.
so
Yep. Now, for me, it's been some good farm work. We've been getting in some hay and started a wheat harvest, so that's been pretty interesting. Crop looked decent, and then it started raining, so
lots of
stop
rain.
in the middle. Hope you can come back to it and everything dries out still in good condition. But we had, looks like we had a good growing season in this part of the country, so
Nice.
something to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
It's been kind of just wet then hot. Like seems like it's
Yeah.
ideal growing conditions for the
Yeah,
most part.
for a lot of things, it's been pretty ideal. So
Yeah, we haven't really had any long stretches of like without some rain. That's the big thing. As long as you have rain periodically,
Right.
then you're fine.
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't a whole lot. I worked a lot and just was very busy, but with life. But I did build a second car bag setup.
Sweet.
second one.
A second.
We
one.
didn't even get to look at the first
You
one.
haven't even got to look at
You
the first one, and I've
Number-
already built two.
You're
So-
gonna break them both down tonight?
No,
Oh.
they're both very similar. This one is the more complete, just because in my work truck, I already have a lot of stuff that I carry for work in there.
Right.
So I already have a couple flashlights and a bunch of different stuff. So there's things I don't carry in that I don't need to because I already have them in my truck somewhere.
Right.
So it's not quite as complete. This is the more complete kit. So this is the one that we're going to talk about tonight.
Mhm. Perfect. So why don't we jump right into it? Or
Yeah.
should we maybe explain the purpose
For sure, we
of
should
putting
talk a
some
little
tools in your vehicle?
Put
Yeah.
put
It's
some
like, why are we even
parameters
doing
around
this?
this.
bit. So in the prepping world, quote unquote, or the survivalist world, a lot of people make a big deal of bug out bags, bug out locations, bug out, like getting out, leaving your house to go somewhere in an emergency, which is valid and probably something we should all consider. But I look at it from the perspective of this is where our preps are.
Mhm.
Unless it's really serious, I want to get home
Right.
when I'm not here, not leave here and go somewhere else.
Hmm.
So while this would be valuable to have in a vehicle if you had to go somewhere, it's also valuable in when you are somewhere and have an emergency. You're not going, gee, I wish I had that tote of supplies at home. That's 3 hours away or a day away or whatever, however far you are. So there's lots of names for these. I call them a get home bag. The idea that you want to put everything in here you need to survive to get home to where your main, preps are.
Right.
And so I've always carried the odds and ends and stuff in my vehicle, but this was actually me getting serious about it, going, no, I actually need to have it organized and not just have it thrown in the glove compartment or under the seat or rolling around in the trunk,
In milk crates like mine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I did a little research and kind of found this sort of setup, which I'm going to break down and we can chat about. And I'm hoping you guys can make suggestions, because there's probably stuff I've missed. This is just stuff I've thought about, but there's probably stuff I've missed that should be in here and isn't. So maybe you guys can find those things while we're going through it.
Yeah. My immediate thought is, like, how do you prioritize? Like, do you imagine potential scenarios you're going to go through and then, like, list them by, like, most likely to least likely?
That's what you would do. A
A
logical person.
Logical progression.
And the rest of us are just like, let's throw a little of this in and a little of this in, and I guess I can't put that in because it doesn't fit, and so we'll just stuff this in here. Yeah, that's more what I did.
Because
I was gonna, like, get out the whiteboard.
Yeah.
We'll make an equation.
flow chart. If this happens, yes. No, this is where we go. Keep going.
I mean, you could just throw some common sense at that, and obviously, say flat tire. Very likely that you'll experience it at least once in a vehicle. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had one. When I think of my own car, one flat tire. So you're bound to get one every so often.
Well, if anybody who's lived in Canada for any length of time, you understand the hazards of driving in the winter, of driving on rural roads. Even if you're in an urban area, stuff happens to your vehicle. And then you can get into the whole concept of, I'm away from home and something really bad happens. There's a massive power outage. There's a natural disaster. There's the zombies come and, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of things. And so I go at it from a scenario based. I take it from my experience, obviously. Well, I've had a flat tire. I've, had a leaky radiator and whatever. Had to put water in my radiator to get home and stuff like that. So I don't have everything here that I actually carry in my vehicle. So I'll just talk about those other things that I also have later on. But
I think a very key part of it you guys mentioned earlier was that it's getting home, right? Like, because as soon as you make that distinction between getting home versus getting out, like, if you're going getting out, you end up making an overlanding rig,
right?
You've got like 3 spare tires, and you got a ladder, and you got a tent, and you got the fuel cans, and you got, like, CB radio and ham radio, like the whole. Well, probably not ham radio in the vehicle, but
could be. I think that's right. This is not going to be an inexhaustive. Like, you're not going to live a month out of this bag. This is a bag that's going to just get you home, which could take 24 hours, or you get stuck in a snowstorm, pulled over on the side of the highway, and nobody's going anywhere. Yeah. And the plows aren't even on the road. I've experienced that before. And, so you might be stuck overnight in a vehicle, in the middle of winter when it's minus 30 out.
Right.
So those kinds of things are what you want to, that's what I kind of say. I don't say, well, I got to have to survive out of this bag for a week in the woods.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. So.
Yeah. And then as far as being practical and applicable, we don't want to be convincing people they need to buy the latest prepping tool that's like a machete and a spade.
That's right.
Or something. It's like, what can you actually get that's good value and makes a lot of sense to actually put in your vehicle?
Yeah, so, I actually did do write down the prices on this, and it, of course, is on my computer, which is over there. Because I thought, well, it'd be good to break down some of these items to give people a rough idea of the cost. I haven't done a full, like, some of this stuff. Anyway, I'll just try to pull that up real quick, and while somebody else is talking and making this sound all smooth. This is going to look great on video.
If you make it to this part of the podcast on YouTube, leave us a comment and tell us what the best part so far has been. Whether it's Owen's arm or the weird pause or whether we're disproportionate or not.
That's right.
It'd be like Tim Pool. It's like, smash that like button.
Subscribe. Share with your friends. Or just clip it on Fountain if you can't see it. At least get some comedic relief.
So what I like just looking at this setup is these modular pouches.
Yeah, I'll
And
hold it up so that
let's get this on screen.
if you can see it, this is what it looks like. Here, you hold it.
YouTube's
I'll
more
hold this up
beneficial for this part.
Yeah.
So you've got, it's kind of like a chest rig in that you've got the back piece of fabric with all the loops on it, and then different pouches strapped into the
Yeah, so it's a molly, setup, sort of a military molly setup.
There's
All
the
these
light.
pouches are adjustable, so they can all be moved around wherever you want to put them. They don't come on this backing
Okay.
when you buy it. This goes over the loop of like a headrest, and then there's another strap that goes kind of around
wrap it around
the back,
seat.
so it can attach to the back of a seat in
Mhm.
the vehicle.
Right on.
That's the idea. So in like my family vehicle, which is what this is for, it's strapped to one of the third row seating seats in the back. So there's some different ones. A couple of these come with actually have loops on them, so you can, and they come with shoulder straps that you can attach.
Nice.
So if something happened, you had to leave your vehicle, but you wanted to take some of this stuff with you, you're not carrying a bag or stuffing stuff in your pockets. You could actually, and I just put the straps inside. You could take the straps, hook it onto this, and actually carry it like a little bag. If for some reason you had to make the unfortunate decision to leave your vehicle, which is in a survival situation not the best idea usually.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that is good to
Stuff
have
happens,
bags
you know.
easy to carry. Not everybody has cargo pants, so
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what I mean. Things that are in this. So obviously I've got a first aid kit, and I've got some other pouches that have random things in it. What do you want to look at first?
Should we go through piece by piece? So you've got five
Yeah, we'll just open a pouch. Like some of these
different
are
pouches up here.
6.
So let's start 6.
Oh, 5. No, you're right.
No,
5.
okay.
We also don't do math on this show.
I only have 4, 6 fingers. Yes.
Let's start with the top left. So that one's
Okay.
clearly labeled a med bag.
This is the med bag. Comes with a nice little patch stuck on the Velcro, so you can easily identify it. The cool thing about this has MOLLE, but the actual bag itself rips off.
Nice.
Oh, Velcro.
So it's fully Velcroed on the back, and you can take this. So if there's a car accident and you need to dip into this or whatever, you can take it to the scene and not have to run back and forth to get stuff, right? So it opens up, kind of lays out like a lot of med kits. I would say, first of all, I should say this whole setup right here was like $90 on Amazon. So it was one of the bigger outlay pieces was the actual setup. But I didn't think that was horrible for what you actually
so just
got.
like the bag, the different
All the
patches
bags,
and the seat back
That's right.
setup. Okay.
It all came as a kit on Amazon, and they're not like crazy high quality, but they're decent.
Okay. So was the first aid kit part of that, or?
Yes, this was in it,
so
but
the first aid kit was already built.
no,
Or just the
pouches.
Just the empty pouch. Okay.
I built everything that you find in this. We're going to talk about. I put in it.
Okay.
So I open this up. First thing, I can just break down the stuff I've got in here.
How about we do a quick overview of what's in
So
there?
I've got a tick removal kit,
Okay.
which is pretty good for in the rural areas. I've got a set of safety scissors, which is always good. Hand warmers, so just those instant hand warmers. You just rip them open and take them out. And,
definitely smart to have those in our climate.
yeah, exactly. So then I've
Get
got
one for your feet too.
I have actually some more hand warmers and other things too. Yeah, foot warmers. Yeah, just a little thing, a tube of polysporin. Which is great. So little cuts and things, you can just put a little bit of that on, and most of these things you have to realize we're not dealing with long-term treatment here of anything. It's just a get-home bag. Yeah. But it's great if you could throw a little bit of that on.
Yeah, if anything meets the definition of an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure, things like antibiotics and
something like
dressing, it's definitely
a tube of polysporin is much easier to carry than a jug of alcohol or some other antiseptic bottle liquid that might freeze and stuff like that. I do have more on the trauma side. I have some quick clot, a quick clot sort of pad. You tear open and put on, and it has a clotting agent in it for more traumatic wounds that actually need to be dealt with right away. In here, I have a little package just with like Band-Aids, things like that. And then I have a couple. These are what are called Israeli bandages. So these are more of a military style bandage. And they have gauze and like a thick absorbent pad in them. So for serious wounds, you open this up, they're all hermetically sealed, whatever that term is, to say that like they're all sterilized and whatever. Put that on, you can wrap the gauze around and it'll soak up quite a bit of blood. This one actually has like a closure bar in it. So this is like a bigger one, a 6-inch one. It actually has like a closure.
It's for like more of a tourniquet.
It's not, I don't think it's an actual tourniquet, but it has something you can kind of like really compress the wound and keep compression on it, whereas these aren't as likely to do that. So that's kind of one half. On the other half, I've got just some packages of gauze. Just bought these little packages. Got an emergency blanket, mylar blanket. You get people who are badly wounded in a car accident or whatever and shock, and you need to get something over them, right? I've got a little bag here. I try to put everything in little bags so I don't have too much loose stuff all over. These are
probably extends the lifespan of some of those products.
It probably could as well. So these are antiseptic wipes. So they're just little alcohol pads you can tear open if you need to sterilize whatever. And most of this stuff, like some of the stuff I had, like I just had these kicking around, you know. These I bought them just like in bulk, and I just put some in here, put some in the other one, threw the rest in our medical bin, you know, to have. This will be a seasonal thing, but I've got like an instant cold pack. So just there's a water thing in there, and you you break it and shake it, and so that's again serious wounds. You don't need a cold pack, but you're out on vacation and someone sprains a finger or
smokes their head off.
Smoke, exactly. You put that on their head, and it's that kind of thing. More hand warmers. Actually, these are foot warmers. In this there's like a little pouch tab thingy here. So maybe we didn't have better light here. So I've got like some gloves for PPE. I've got that, and I have a package of Fisherman's Friends.
Oh, perfect.
So you could put cough drops in, you could put Halls, whatever you wanted. I just had these, so that's what I put in. I think that's all I have in the med kit. So I've tried to deal with. I actually thought I had a tourniquet in here, and I actually don't. So
I was going to say that might be my only.
That would be the thing.
Maybe not my only, but
a couple of cable ties would do the trick, right?
I guess if you had to. I'm not going to put all this stuff back right now in the middle of the show, but I'll just throw this aside. But so that's what I have in there. I thought I had a tourniquet in there, but I don't. So that is one thing I'm going to add, because I know I put one in the other one.
That's one thing I've seen a lot, because for the longest time it was spoken of very negatively. In a lot of like first aid things.
Heard that too. They don't do it in basic first aid anymore. No. It's more considered high risk. To get amateurs to do it, I guess. So
get your scissors. But for an emergency first aid kit, I've heard it start to come back. It's like a tourniquet, and actually knowing how when you put a tourniquet on, the person's already in a pretty decent amount of pain from whatever injury they're in.
That's right.
You're also putting them in a ton more pain with the tourniquet. So that and some Skittles.
But you really might not be able to save their life in any other way.
No, exactly.
A tourniquet is one of those things where nothing else really is going to solve that. No amount of pressure on the wound.
It's an arterial bleed. They're losing blood fast.
What are the Skittles for?
For diabetic.
Oh, yeah. Or, that's a good idea.
For someone who goes into, is it hyper or hypoglycemia? I can't remember.
It'd be hypoglycemia.
Hypo. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. That would be a good
or something that even just like
little chocolate bar,
the pixie sticks,
right? Yeah,
like
yeah.
the sugar sticks.
A lot of first aid kits come with just a little pack of sugar.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, exactly. Next time you're in a diner.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Give 'em an
I
extra
never
tip.
thought of that, but that would be a good one to put in. So that's the first aid kit. It's not exhaustive by any means. It's
a pretty.
but it's you saw
get home.
it was packed.
Yeah.
Like it was packed pretty
you're,
tight.
You're gonna do good getting a tourniquet and some sugar packs. in
Yeah,
there.
exactly. And there's other bags here, so I mean there'd be things you could put in those in these other bags to if you didn't have room in that. So yeah, which of the mystery bags do you want to look at next? I guess I could go over the pricing on that. So like those scissors were like $17. Those like antiseptic wipes were like 3 cents each. Like I bought like a pack of like 1,000. Because they came like in
like your plastic bags.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
And you can use the rest of them to wipe down all your mail. So
Yeah. That's right.
Oh my goodness.
All the stuff coming from Wuhan.
So it didn't come from there. That's
so
not
like
where it came from.
3 cents each. The cold pack was like $1.45 each.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I bought like a box of them. Most of those other things that I had in there were tricky to price. Band-Aids. I mean, like I just bought some packages of Band-Aids and pulled out the most common ones you use and stuck them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't really have to tell you a per Band-Aid price. I don't think I'll bother. I think the gauze bandages were like 56 cents each. The tick removal kit was $12.
Yeah. We've seen a lot more ticks lately.
Yeah.
In general, like.
Yeah. Well, we never had them up here, and now we see them on the dog and things like that too. And one of the kids had one time and stuff. So yeah, for sure, that's something that we pay a little more attention to. Hand warmers, I think, were about 60 cents each. The other thing I haven't added to that actually, that is in my other kit because it hadn't come in the mail yet, is burn gel.
Oh,
so there's going to be burn gel going in that as well. Just little packets of it. What are they? 9. They have, I forget what, it's not 9 ounce. That'd be quite a bit. But anyway, they're just little tiny packets. So I'll just throw a handful of those probably in with the antiseptic wipes or something in that bag.
Right.
Okay.
They were, again, I bought a box of them. I think it was $35 for like the whole box. Worked out to like 25 cents each. So none of this stuff is super easy and you can buy it in smaller amounts for sure. But I wanted to buy the larger amounts to also supplement our home kit as well. And this is all stuff, like I'm taking all this stuff and I rebuilt all my camping med kits and everything and kind of fleshed them out a little bit better with some of this stuff.
Okay.
That maybe I didn't have here before. The Israeli bandages, I have way too many of those, but they're about $10 each if you don't want to buy them.
Okay.
I have a lot of them. Emergency blankets you can get for like $2, so that kind of gives people an idea of. I intended before the show to actually sit down and total this all up, but of course I didn't do that. So, and a lot of this is bought on Amazon, so it's easy to get. It's easy to find.
Yeah, most of this stuff is readily available, and I mean, you could buy a ready-made first aid kit if you don't want to go to the work of assembling it.
That's right.
That's probably a little better than a most basic kit if you were looking at retail ones, but even like an intermediate one, probably I'd be, I don't know, $80 maybe.
Depends. I've seen them range so much, and there's so many different versions that it's hard. Like a company will sell, car kits. And then first aid kit, and then home first aid kit. And you look at it and you go, what's the difference? Other than this one is twice as much as that one. I just found I wanted the ability to customize it.
Well, it's generally that more often than not, what is just standardized and sold is not as
might not be tailored to what you actually
the utility's
want.
not quite there.
They have a ton of bandages.
We're like, we'll just cover all the bases, but
it's 150 piece, but there's like 100 band-aids in it.
Exactly. and then 25 of yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that I've heard a lot in like when we were gonna do this. I'm like, all I could hear in my head was Mike Glover from Fieldcraft Survival talking about like, you know, the tourniquet and all this sort of stuff.
Yes.
And how that like who's his, he's linked up with Dark Angel Medical, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very big on like, don't trust a standard kit.
Yeah.
And last time I took a first aid course, it was both wilderness first aid and just your standard workplace first aid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, yeah, you can get by with what's in a standard kit, but you know, especially if it's like for a non-urban situation.
Yes.
That's when you really want to make sure that you know what's in your first aid kit. Because, you know, a lot of times you're like, where's the first aid kit? Okay, here we go. Oh, we got to pull the packaging off the first aid kit.
Yeah.
Once we unpackage it, what's in here?
Yeah, for sure. And what I tried to do is I was like, what scenarios could I get into while driving my vehicle down the road?
Yeah.
Or if I was stuck on the side of the road, what I would need first aid for. Or if I've gone camping, you know, with my vehicle, we're going to a campsite. What might I need in that scenario? You know, so yeah, that's kind of the thing that I was, you know, if I have to do a repair on my vehicle,
right?
How am I going to hurt myself doing that where I might need some first aid? You know, so that's kind of the approach I came at it, because this would be very different than what I would carry in the wilderness.
Yeah,
and different than what I would carry on, you know, my combat kit.
Yeah.
You know, like that'd be very different kits. My camping kit is different. It has some of the same stuff, but I'm going to emphasize some things over other things for sure. So, yeah, first aid's on it. We could do it. Well, we probably already have done a show on first aid, you know, so. So let's move on to, let's just go right down the side here. Do you want to just keep on moving down the next post down?
Okay, yep. So middle left.
So this is middle left. So
Got a medium-sized pouch.
kind of a medium elongated pouch.
What's the general purpose of this pouch?
General purpose was I can't fit this stuff in any of the other pouches.
Okay, so this is like your dump pouch.
This is the overflow bag.
So I've just got like one of these cheap plastic ponchos.
Okay, yep.
That you just put on.
Okay, for picking up trash.
Yeah, for picking up trash, you know. So that's in there. I've got just kind of a package of generic rope. You could use paracord or put whatever in here. This is just some general use polyester rope.
I'm gonna say it looks better than the old traditional plastic yellow whatever is tri-weave.
That's right. Yeah, I wanted something that was a little bit finer. So that's great. You know, you get it's polyester. You're probably not tying up your muffler with it, but you know,
I gotta go retie it.
If you had made a little shelter or something, you could use it for that. I've got some road flares. Road flares or just regular flares, whatever they're called.
Assailant deterrents.
So how necessary would you rate a road flare?
I would say it would be good in a scenario where you were a little off a road and maybe you had to be found, that might be handy. I know they say you can, strike them and put them out around your vehicle so you don't get hit, but like how long is that going to last?
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely could start a fire with it.
Okay.
Yep.
They pretty much are foolproof as far as lighting,
I would like to put that to the test. However, I'll take you at your word.
Yeah. I've got lots, so we can try that sometime. In here, when I bought these road flares back a while ago, it came with like a little SOS thing, which I have no idea how you would ever see that from any distance. And it came with these
Tape
little
that to your forehead.
stand-up cardboard things, so you can like put your flare, stick it through there, and it'll actually stand up. And you can set it out somewhere, so it's not laying down. So those just came with it. It was like a car flare kit, and I just threw that in.
Okay,
may as well stay with it.
So what did that cost?
That I already had, so I couldn't tell you what the cost of that was because I've had it for years and years in my vehicle. But flares are not crazy expensive.
Okay.
If you really want to get them cheap, go to any fireworks store. Oh yeah, and they'll sell them for you for a couple bucks. They'll sell you they probably even get expired ones. These ones are expired, but I know they still work. Right, they last forever. Zip ties.
Yep.
I would suggest though, these are some white zip ties. I would suggest getting the black zip ties because these are a lot more susceptible to UV damage.
Right.
Wow.
The
That's a good tip then.
Yeah.
The other half to duct tape.
The other half to duct tape. That's right. I don't know what else is in here. The strap for this bag is in here, and that's about it. So that's about all I could fit in that bag, just because of the length of these flares. There wasn't a lot of options I had with this kit to fit them in.
Okay.
The inside of this kit has like a couple little compartments and stuff.
What about carabiners? Because I noticed, like, but I mean, you could even just like carabiner stuff on the molly on the outside.
Absolutely, yeah. There's because most of these things have like molly or some sort of loop attachments on the outside that you could hook stuff to if you wanted stuff hanging. I didn't really have anything. I even have this pouch hardly has anything in it, so I wasn't short on space with this setup. But yeah, for sure, if you needed more space, you just didn't mind stuff hanging on the outside. You could.
That's right.
Okay. You want to go to the small pouch on the top?
Yeah.
Right
So
here.
this
What do we got?
small pouch, there's not much in this. I don't think, if I remember correctly. All I have, and this is a water filter. So this is a Catadyne B-Free, a 3 liter.
Okay.
So I have like a small 1 liter that I carry camping. But this, I said I'm going to get the 3 liter because in a vehicle, maybe we're traveling as a family, we're going to need to be able to have more water than just a little 1 liter pouch. These are great filters. They're super fast. They're the fastest rated filter on the market for personal filters. As far as the amount of water that it can filter in a given amount of time. The downside to them, to be completely fair, is that they are proprietary thread. So the filter will only thread into
The bag.
this bag. I mean, not any bag, any Catadyne bag.
Yeah.
but
Right.
it won't just thread into any bag or a smart water bottle or anything like that. Some of them will thread onto a smart water bottle. Now they do make, if you're into 3D printing, you can 3D print yourself an adapter.
Okay, that's
for
what I was
that.
going to ask about an adapter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can 3D print an adapter
Nice.
for this. That'll go something else, but I don't need that. Or haven't used it because I have the bag and the bag doesn't have any holes in it or whatever. So you can use it 2 ways. You can drink straight out of it, or you can put that on and squeeze it, filter it into another container. So that's, I think that is all that is in that top bag, because that's a pretty good size. My other one is not right here. It's in one of my backpacks, but this is a 3 liter. It's a 1 liter. These are not super cheap. This is probably the second most expensive item in this kit, because I think. I'm not sure I put that on the list or not. It did. This was about $80.
Okay.
So this was, you can get the 1 liter size for around 60. So, and there's other ones out there like Platypus, Quick Draw. There's 3 or 4 other brands that are all really good. They're just as good as far as filtering. But this is the one I went with now, because I can actually use this because I already have one of these. If this nozzle crapped out for some reason, I have the option of using my other one with this, and they're kind of interchangeable that way now. So try to keep my systems all fairly modular. Yeah,
that takes care of water. So
that basically
definitely a top priority.
Yes, because that'll filter anything. So like it's a mud puddle on the side of the road. Like I probably wouldn't go straight out of a sewage ditch or something, but anything that's relatively clear water, I can pull that out of and be confident that it's not going to make me super sick.
Can it filter COVID?
Well, it filters water, not air.
This pouch is actually, I think, all I put in this is a couple more emergency blankets.
Okay.
So the idea being, because this is for like the family vehicle, I make the assumption the whole family's in there, might need multiples of some things. So this is actually considered a radio pouch, they call it. If you look in the ad for this. So this I left empty on purpose, basically to say if we were traveling, I could throw any comms I had in here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true. I actually have something else in there. Emergency whistle.
Ah, yes.
Ah,
So that's in there.
need a lock on that pouch to keep the kids out.
Yeah. I think I actually stole this from them. The front
So
of
that one was free, folks.
yeah, yeah, that's right. The front of this pouch has like a place for pens, a little pad of paper, stuff like that. So that's all stuff I haven't put in here, but you could. Would be handy stuff to have. So that's 4 out of the 5 pouches.
All right, let's get to the biggest pouch down the bottom.
Yeah, so the biggest pouch on the bottom here has probably the most stuff in it. Yeah, we'll just start on the front. So on the front here, I put all of my fire starter material.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something I just had kicking around. This is actually they call it a roadside flare. I don't really.
Okay, so
it just burns.
It's something you can just use as tinder, basically?
Kind of, or maybe it's supposed to be like an emergency flare. I don't know, but I just threw it in there because I had it. But I wouldn't even. That doesn't do anything. I don't think the other flares do.
Okay.
So then I have just like a bunch of tinder. So I've got a
steel wool.
Steel wool scrubby. I've got some dryer lint.
Okay.
And I bought a box of these little fire starter, kind of waxy fire starters. So you just take
Is
that.
that like some sort of paraffin?
Yeah, something like that. You just light the corner of the plastic and it burns for a while till your main wood gets going.
Right.
And they're supposed to work in the rain and all that stuff because they're sort of wax based.
Cool.
Huh.
So I just threw some of those in there. Then on the actual lighting side, I've got strike anywhere matches in a waterproof
Which apparently
container.
Redbird isn't making anymore.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
I'm gonna have to go stock up on them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
It was at lumberjack competition this past weekend. They're like, yeah, because we do kettle boil, and one of the things at kettle boil, you get 5 matches, and you got your axe and the rocks and a block of cedar, and you got to start to make a fire.
Yes.
And they're like, "Where's the matches?" They're like, "Oh." They were joking about how now they're super expensive and you're not gonna be able to do kettle boil anymore. It's like,
oh man,
since when did Redbird decide to stop doing it? Anyway, I'll have to dig more into that, but stocking up on it's gonna be more imperative.
So like obviously this stuff is just free because I stole it out of the dryer lint. These I think were about 30 cents each. That's what these were.
Have we chatted about the cotton balls and Vaseline?
I don't think we've mentioned it, but that would be another thing.
Saturating it gets really messy, but taking a cotton ball and saturating the majority of it with Vaseline, and then you just, when you go to light it, you just kind of pry it apart a little bit, and you can hit it with a match or strike it with a flint. Okay,
gotcha. Yeah, that would work really well because these probably wouldn't take a flint very well.
No, probably not. But the dryer lint would. Oh, big time.
So then I got another little baggie in there with my some fire starting. Besides my matches, I've got just a standard Bic lighter.
Yep.
And I've got what it was called, a Ferrocerium rod or Serapherium rod or whatever it is. You can shave off the stuff and actually make a spark if I do it.
So you don't want to try that?
I don't think I'll try it right here over top of all my fire starters. Because what I don't have in this car kit is a fire extinguisher.
I was just about to say that. I don't know if there's one in here either.
No, there's downstairs. So then this has like little side pockets, which this one I just have the strap for this bag.
Right.
I don't think there's anything in this one. No, this one's empty. In the main part of this bag, I have get into some light. So I've got a headlamp.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted 2 sources of light, even though I usually carry a flashlight on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have 2 sources of light in here because I'm not the only person that drives a vehicle.
Right.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
And then I tried to standardize as best I could my batteries as well.
That can be super helpful.
Be really hard though.
My land.
So I'm gonna have to remember what this actually takes. If it's a AAA or what it takes, I can't even remember now. No, it's a AA.
Okay, so single AA.
I try to go AA
That's
just because they're
setup.
so common.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty light flashlight. And then I bought I wanted a good decent flashlight for in the car. So this is a Coast 600.
That one I'm pretty sure will work underwater as well.
It could be. It's.
I had one that looked identical to it. It was this big.
Yeah.
And we were. I was actually in school, and it started getting dusky. We were working on a water project. Like, we need some light under there. I was like, yeah, sure. Toss it right in. They're like, oh, what's that? What are you doing? I was like, we're supposed to have our cruising vests loaded with everything we might need.
Yeah.
And I said, there we go. There's light underwater.
So this is a 7 on its highest setting, a 720 lumen flashlight.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll really, as you can see,
I was going to say just walk white out in the video.
everybody in the video is blind. And then, of course, you can just twist the end of it to narrow it down or widen it out, whatever you want to do.
There's no dark mode for that on the phone.
No, there really isn't. So, it's a good quality flashlight. I believe that takes AA's as well.
Self-defense weapon if necessary.
You could hit someone with that.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I didn't put in my truck bag because I carry in my work truck multiple flashlights anyway. So I didn't actually put this in my kit for my other vehicle. So that's that, and then I also have just a little small cheapo flashlight.
One you can hold in your mouth if you need both hands or something.
Well, I have the
headlamp.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
true.
but I can give this to to a kid or whatever. It's a backup for my backup basically.
The rite of passage. Hold the flashlight still.
For vehicles, it's hard to say what you need for tools in a vehicle. Like, I'm not going to carry a full set of wrenches and all that kind of stuff. But most common the most common problem you're going to have in a vehicle that's going to prevent you from getting home is your tires.
Right.
So, tire kit. So just these are kind of cool. It comes with a tire tester as well, and some patches, and also some valve stem parts with the tool to remove it.
Written fancy.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty good. Made by Vehicle X. I forget how much this was. It wasn't crazy expensive, but it was a fairly complete kit. It was $22. So really not bad.
Nope.
I didn't think. And you could assemble all the stuff in that. There's all kinds of different ones. You can go to Canadian Tire or any hardware store and get. I have a knife, just a smaller fixed blade knife. There, and a multi-tool.
Yes.
Pliers. Can be
Pliers.
super handy.
Yes. Pliers. I mean, there's not. So this was because I wasn't going to go out and buy $100 Leatherman stick in a car kit.
That's one you'd wear on yourself.
Exactly. So this was about, I want to say it was $30 to $35. I think $35 is what this was. So it wasn't like the cheapest on there, but it wasn't the most expensive either. So I was like, this is something that's probably going to be good enough quality to hold up to some use.
Yeah.
While still,
Oh
being
wow,
cheap enough
it's
I
really
can afford it.
compact too.
Yeah, it's pretty compact. So it's got all the regular stuff that you put in a multi-tool. There's nothing super special about it. It's got a clip on it, so you can just clip it in your pocket if you want. But it also has the case and locks shut. So a multi-tool, I think, is highly recommended for almost everything. Yeah. And that is it. That's all I got in here.
Ta-da!
The only thing I would add to this, and I didn't really have room to fit it in, would be besides the other stuff we're going to talk about. Oh, what did I do with it? Oh, I must have taken it downstairs. Shoot. I would consider a brick of emergency food. It's like Datrix emergency food.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a block, and it's like 6 meals in a block kind of thing or something like that. It's like, I don't know, it's like 3,000 calories. So in this little block, and they're just like, you open it up and there's little tiny individual wrapped granola bars is what they look like and taste like.
Okay.
I've taken them hunting before when I just wanted to take something with me, but didn't want to carry too much with me. They taste fine. They're kind of sweet, and they're calories. They're not good for you, exactly. I'm sure. But they're
you
calories.
Just want to get home.
That's right. I just need something to keep the kids quiet.
Yes.
Yeah. So that I would put in. They're kind of a little bit bulky, so I didn't really have good room in this. If there was things you left out of this, then you would probably have room, or be the thing you could keep in the glove compartment, or
could you strap it through the molly on the long bag, or is it too big for that?
No, it's about the size. If you think of like a standard brick you'd see on a house,
okay,
it's like half the size of that and thicker. So
Okay, yeah. So it's adding a bit more
Yeah.
bulk into the all right.
Yeah. So that I couldn't fit in. I guess you could open it up and take the individual wrapped things, and it would fit in different places. But I didn't want to do that. So that would be the only other thing, would be to get some sort of caloric intake into this kit.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to spend 24 hours on the side of the road or in the woods or something like that.
Yeah. But unless you have like a need for sugar, like in the case of being a diabetic,
right.
in which case you should consider that.
Yeah.
Some extensive preps. But for most of us, for a get-home kit, food may not be the most important thing.
As long as you're eating right.
Yeah. And then obviously if you're on medications, or things that you can't do without, you should have that stuff
different.
with you.
If
no matter
you know
what.
you function more or less, you have less functionality under certain conditions. You need that sugar hit potentially.
Instant coffee. Just kidding.
So depends on if you need it or not.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I thought for a compact kit, this was pretty good, fairly complete. I don't know. I like the idea of something like some sort of sugar to add to that, and got to get a tourniquet in there. I don't know what else you guys thought. Maybe we'll go in this.
You got all the really good basic tools. You're light. You got cordage with that bundle of rope. The cable ties. Maybe tape. But I bet you've got tape in vehicles otherwise.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know my truck would have duct tape in it,
Mhm.
electrical tape. Like that's just stuff I would carry in my truck. But I'm not sure about the other vehicle. That might be something. Even just throw some electric tape in this.
I like electrical tape.
Yeah.
Very compact. Maybe that just is related to my farming background and handling so many electrical difficulties with the electric cattle fencing. And
Right. The other
Electrical
thing
tape
though
is
that I
handy.
need to add and didn't put in my med kit is a roll of like athletic tape.
Yes.
Or some sort of tape in that for
like hockey tape maybe, or
hockey tape, or I know I have in my kit downstairs actual like they call it sports tape, but it's you can use it for taping gauze onto someone or taping.
Right.
Okay, so
Something
that's
like that.
heavier than the smaller medical tape you'll see in kits.
Yeah.
It's just like a full.
It's
like
about
an inch
no, it's maybe
wide tape, or?
inch and a half.
Okay.
No, wide is probably an inch.
Okay.
It's probably an inch wide, but
It's
the
a little
whole
bit heavier
roll-
than those small
Yes.
medical adhesives.
But some sort of a medical tape I probably should have in
Okay.
that kit would be good. That would be something else I could add.
or even just tape with a higher adhesive than like the clear vinyl medical tape. You're like, oh, we'll just put this on, and it falls off.
Yeah.
Go home, take the duct tape, right on. But
Other things I carry in my vehicle. I usually try to carry some oil and some sort of antifreeze or coolant for the vehicle. And obviously we're going to booster cables, and we're going to talk about something you brought here in a minute. Should always have booster cables. And the other thing that I bought specifically for this, this I don't have in my truck, but I carry it in my family vehicle, is a little air compressor, 12-volt air compressor.
Yeah.
So this was one, again, I found on Amazon. I don't know that it's the best quality, but it was basically fit in my budget.
if you want to see a photo of this in action, go to Twitter, changing_normal. There's a photo of it on there.
Yes, I actually had to use it a couple weeks back. So this was around $90 for this kit, and it, it's just a little 12-volt air compressor with a gauge on top. Comes with quite a long cord. I don't know, in a longer vehicle,
That's
I'd be
the bane of vehicle air compressors.
You're right.
there.
Can you reach the back tire?
Can you reach the back tire, especially if you're driving like a Suburban or a truck or
That's
something.
exactly what I was supposed to say.
So this has quite a long cable, but what I liked about it, I'm just going to set this down right here, is it also came with a telescopic
no way.
like hose.
Oh,
So if you're
so that'll get you there.
So if that doesn't
got
quite
a slinky
reach,
hose.
you can stretch out and get the rest of the way to that tire.
Right.
It also has a set of battery clips
Oh, to run it off your
so you
battery.
can actually run right off a battery instead of having to plug into like a cigarette lighter.
That's the best mobile compressor kit I've seen.
I thought it was
Yeah.
pretty good for everything.
That's got some extra things I
yeah.
haven't seen with most compressors.
And then it came with like some different
you got the
nozzles
different,
and a spare fuse for the. There's probably an internal fuse in that.
Small nozzle. You got the needle in case you want to inflate your beach ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spare fuse. Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that was.
This is a nice kit because this must be aluminum housing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't super accurate on the gauge when I was filling, but I don't need it to be.
Right.
I just need it to fill the tire.
Yeah.
After using my patch kit to plug a hole, right? You know,
right.
I can tell by looking at a tire whether it's good enough inflated to drive on it.
Yeah.
And that's all I need because this is a get home bag. It's not a do a full complete.
Yeah, exactly.
Repair job.
Okay. So notice this one actually recommends you use the battery clamps instead of the cigarette lighter.
Yes. And so
the cigarette lighters, they do have an amperage limitation.
They do, and you want to make sure you're running your vehicle
Mm-hmm.
while using it so that it's getting full power
right
draw, and you're not running your battery down, things like that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because when I first plugged it in, turned it on, it was running, but it wasn't running real fast. And I went, oh shoot! And I turned my thing on, and it took right off.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is nice.
So I mean, I intended to have this all totaled up to like give you an idea of the total cost of this kit, because I bought extra stuff, I didn't want to include that. But there's probably, if you bought this kit and you bought the air compressor and you bought that water filter, like those are the three big ticket items that I said I wanted to have that you wouldn't necessarily have to have. The water filter, for example, you could do something cheaper like tablets. Yeah, the water purification tablets or something like that.
Life straw.
Life
like
straw,
20,
yeah, something
$30 or
a cheaper water purification method. There's probably less than $300 in this, I would say. I haven't actually totaled. I'm just doing real, and we know how good at math I am.
Okay, Dan, you should have done the totals on that.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do the totals up here in a minute while someone else is talking. But the only other thing I actually carry with this is a big ass knife. There's actually a space in between the molly on this bottom pouch, and this can slide down inside. This is not a sharp knife, but it will take a lot of abuse.
Yeah,
I've split logs with this, whack it in the top, and take another stick and drive it down through and break the log. So. Just something like that. You could be a machete. It could be a small hand axe. It could be whatever you prefer. This I had. It fits in this really well. If I go long trips, I'm taking other tools anyway. Yeah. But this is always in the vehicle. So, and this I can't tell you the price of because I bought it so long ago on a site that I'm not even sure it still exists. It was CanadaAmmo.com or .ca, something like that, and I'm pretty sure I threw like 3 or 4 of these onto an order to make free shipping or something like that. I think it was like $10. So,
wow. So
that it was pretty cheap for what it is, and anything like that. I don't want anything super expensive. I'm not going to throw some, Spyderco or even anything crazy fancy on this. I just wanted something I can abuse that is a little bit bigger than a Leatherman. Yeah. Than a multi-tool. And I have this other knife in there. You're not splitting logs with this knife. It's a good stout blade, but it's not going to be. But anyway, that's enough of that. Do you want to talk about chargers?
USB chargers?
Or boosters? Like we talked about boosting cables real quick, but you brought something
the cables,
else.
I was going to show you some things that I carry in my vehicle. When I got my own vehicle, these were just the things I immediately grabbed and put in it. So your basic tubeless tire repair kit. Got the tools there. So just because I think it's a huge saving yourself a pain in the butt if you can stick a plug in a tire and reinflate it versus getting out the tiny little jack they give you with your tiny little
It
car.
just becomes such a pain in the butt.
Don't make yourself go through that if you've just got a nail through the tread of the tire. So you need your air compressor. It's a basic crappy tire air compressor. It's held up well so far. Had to use it a few times. And then I got a small battery booster. So you got your little battery pack here. 7,000 joules, it says.
Yeah,
That was an amp.
I really like that one. That's the same one. I carry that one in my truck.
Okay.
And I really like it because it charges on a USB port. So while you're driving, you can plug it into your cigarette lighter and
yeah, that's definitely
and charge
an
it.
advantage. It comes with the pieces. You've got 12-volt cigarette lighter plug-in cable.
And then you can also use it like a portable battery to charge off of it. So to charge your phone or
I will say I
like
do
that.
not recommend that because I've
really?
had to use that in a pinch before.
Oh yeah.
And it does not have fast charge capabilities. If you're trying to keep your cell phone running off this,
Your phone's gonna die faster than it'll charge it.
it was able to keep up, but it was kind of painful. Yeah. Or just that situation where it's like every 15 minutes you lose another percent, and it's like 7,
Been there,
6,
done that.
5, and it's like, no, I'm working on my phone. So you've got your battery clamps, of course, plug into that. So I think these are a great tool. As we were prepping for this show, I was thinking about the shortcomings in what I have in my car. And definitely having the standard jumper cables is the biggest gap at the moment, I think. So that's something I'm going to rectify very soon. Get standard jumper cables. And
I gotta go over the jumper cables in my vehicle, and then get a second set for the second vehicle. And the reason I say that is because there was a stretch where the car's battery was completely dead, and I had to jump it each morning before I could, just the way work schedule and the stores, I wasn't able to actually get in and get a battery. And it was just a kind of patched together jumper cable kit, like super heavy gauge cable, but it was old. It's kind of like a hand-me-down from my grandfather, and anyway, there was some electrical tape around one of the handles, which is why I need to repair it, because I got the terminals mixed up. Went to set it on, and it sparked, and I was like, that was a little bit more spark than normal. I was like, oh, I'll try it again. Just put it on, and then it started getting red, and I went, nah, that's wrong. I looked at the handles again, I went, oh, you dummy. How'd you know? Anyway, so I put it on the right way, but just need to make sure that I tape up the handles on it, make sure that red is red and black is black, and that's the way the positive and negative cables aren't crisscrossed.
Yeah. And I often carry other things in my car as well, so I might have other tools if I'm in an emergency situation. I mean, I would always have a large knife in the car, usually have safety glasses in the console.
Right.
I might have tape, but looking at this setup, I realize a lot of those things I'm not going to have because I might work with them somewhere else. If they're just loose tools that are kind of going in and out, sometimes they're...
That's right.
Most likely, Murphy's Law is going to apply, and I'm not going to have them in the car when I need them. So having a bag that is dedicated to the location you want it at makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that was my real drive with this, or my intention with this, was because a lot of the stuff I kind of had laying around, and I would pack it up when we go on vacation or take a longer trip. But then I'd have to unpack it because I wanted to put it in my camping kit, go camping, or I was, this or that or the next thing. But everything that's in here will never leave this unless I need it. That because it's a dedicated item for this bag. So I just did some rough math, and it's actually closer to about $450.
Full all in.
For everything we talked about here. That includes, the expensive items like that water filter and the air compressor, which are, more on the more expensive side of things. You may not need or decide. But the great thing about it, because this is so modular, you can add things. You can go through and say, well, what's the most important things?
Mhm.
Just get that stuff, set it up, and then in a couple
like
months,
a build
go
over time.
exactly.
Yeah, even like instead of bags that are perfect, maybe you grab an old duffel bag or an old backpack and you start accumulating things slowly.
That's right.
I think that's a good practical way of doing things. But what would you start with? If someone has a vehicle, they have nothing useful in it whatsoever. What should you really have?
Make sure you're dressed well. No, that's what I was going to lead with when I talked about what I have is making sure that my everyday, like what I carry on my person is good enough to get me home. So I was guilty when I was a teenager of just wearing like Converse, Chuck Taylors and like shorts everywhere. And as I got older, like, I didn't wear a belt. Like I didn't carry a pocket knife. I didn't like make sure that I had my wallet on myself, but I still need to slim down my wallet. But that's where I kind of start is like, is my belt sturdy enough to be utilized in another manner if necessary, if it's that shady of an area, is my blade proficient enough for self-defense if need, like just things like that. And that's why I brought the book chisel.
The book chisel.
So it's made out of G10 and it's by John at GLG Knife Works in New Hampshire. It's basically just high pressure cured fiberglass. It's got zero metallic signature. So, non-permissive environments, especially here in Canada, the way we're rolling, that goes on my person in my books. I bought my wife a couple to go in her purse and things like that. He also makes hair stays and just different things like that. But just making sure that regardless of whether my get home bag is fully equipped, I know that I've got what I need to make sure that I can take care of myself. Right. In worst case scenario. Now, in
EDC show, we really should do an EDC show.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure.
That's what I wasn't intending for that to I was just kind of going to lead off with that, but okay, sure. I'm still building the get home side of like the preparedness in my vehicles. Like I have a hatchet in the truck. There's a knife and blankets in the car, but it's just a matter of continually making sure that there's more. I got a couple of first aid kits, but I don't have a great spot to store tools at my house. So my tool storage is my truck. So my truck's prepared-ish.
Yeah.
But a big thing as far as like starting was probably first aid and then tires. Like I mean, like worst case scenario, there's going to be blood, so you want first aid for that. And then the most likely, at least in this part of Canada, the most likely scenario is you're putting a hole in your tire or your
pretty much anything else is you can drive away from it, or it's going to be so bad that there's nothing you could do to fix it. You're not changing out, rear differential or transmission on the side of the road. You're not doing that kind of stuff. So you can only practically prepare for so much. But tires is something and then don't just have the tire kit. Learn to use the tire kit.
Then that was what I was going to add on to it. Everything, like I've seen Dan use this kit before. I've seen both of you guys utilize your battery, like the battery chargers. Like what's in your kit. You need to know what tools you have at your disposal. Otherwise, they do you no good.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Source of light, some sort of flashlight, and some sort of fire starter kit. Those would be the only other things that I would say are absolutely must have. A blade. You should have a blade on you anyway. It's hard, eh? A lot of people don't make that a habit, so.
Yeah. Well, that's
hard.
like
You don't want to assume that stuff. But.
That's why we're talking about it on the Changing Normal podcast
That's right.
because this stuff isn't normal.
No, that's right.
Like the normal thing is, I'll call CAA
Yeah.
or hit the OnStar button.
Yeah.
Most cars have OnStar, I think now. But like, just even being proficient enough to say, oh, I can change a tire.
Yeah.
I can check fluid levels in my vehicle, make sure before I leave the driveway, we're not going to end up having to use a get home bag.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Yep.
Cool. So let's move on to
all the news stories we have.
People probably noticed we skipped crypto this week, but that's because we're gonna
Come back to it with a vengeance next week.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my! Okay, so where do we want? Which one do we want to start with?
Craziest topic in the news is
Signal got hacked.
Signal got hacked.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, what was it? A customer database? Was it corporate information?
No, it actually. So there's a system, like a cloud communications company that Signal is linked to. It's called Twilio, and basically all they did was they just got in and read like the Twilio system's text messages. But the big part between Twilio and Signal is that Twilio provides the text verification services. Like to sign up for Signal, you have to give them a phone number, right?
Yes.
So all that does is that it just allowed for the hackers. There was 1,900 users that it affected. And basically all it did was allow them to just register that account that was linked to that phone number on a different phone. Because of Signal's encryption and the way that it was like designed, all the encryption's on your device, and generally with good data privacy practices, you have a PIN number that, like for me, it's once a month. Signal asks me for my PIN, but even if the hacker were to register that.
They can't get any information.
No, they can't get any.
All they were
information
able to get was some phone numbers.
Yeah,
they couldn't get any messages. They couldn't get
any personal information,
or any of that sort of stuff.
No.
And from what I read, it seems like it was a targeted attack. They went after
like
three specific numbers. So they were going in looking for somebody's. They were specifically targeting certain people, certain numbers for some reason. So I mean, I don't know what the reason was, but
that's interesting. It makes me think this isn't a random hack. If there are people being targeted, it means that they already knew the phone numbers.
Because you know how they hacked them? They broke into the building and got access to their server. So it wasn't even a computer guy sitting behind a computer in Russia. It was like literally they had to break into the building to get access to the server to get the numbers. For the specific people they were trying to get numbers for, because they didn't try to exploit it with anybody except three numbers, even though they would have had time to do so.
Yeah. So one of the mediation, proactive things to do if you utilize Signal, which for me, Signal is kind of like the best of both worlds. Like it's the easiest way to onboard people into an end-to-end encrypted messaging service with this. Signal's slick.
Oh, yeah.
Signal's really slick. If you wanted even more privacy, Session. For me, in my opinion, Session is because Session is technically a fork. We talk. Oh, here we go. Blockchain. No, it's just a utilization of the Signal coding, but in a much more private way. It runs on the Loki net, which is linked in with the Oxen kind of blockchain. So, there's absolutely no user information that it collects. It just gives you like an ID, which is essentially like a public address, and then it just syncs all your messages on a blockchain and things like that. It runs
not associated with your phone number at all.
No, not even an email.
Right.
And then it runs its own VPN in the background. Like as soon as you log in, it bumps you through. Trying to remember 4 or 5 different nodes worldwide before it connects to the end source. But Signal has a registration lock feature. So in your settings, I think it's account settings, privacy or something like that. If you just go in there and activate your registration lock, it's going to require the PIN that you utilize your Signal or your, now I've got them confused. Session Signal. Oh.
Anyway,
the registration lock is what will allow you to keep your data private if you have to, download Signal on another phone.
It also means you want to make sure you don't lose your Signal PIN.
Yeah.
So that is, which is why a lot of people don't employ these more, I guess, medium security measures, is because they often can be an inconvenience where you actually have to remember some codes and things. Mm-hmm. It's like everything you do to limit someone else's access to your things is a potential limitation to yourself.
You mean all your pins aren't 1, 2, 3, 4?
No. Sometimes you got to go to extremes. Right. So it's like I used one of my toes to unlock my phone.
It's right when they ask for a fingerprint, you use a toe.
Honey, can you unlock my phone for me? Yeah, just hang on 1 sec. Oh my goodness. So a couple other ones I saw. There was a little bit of a drop in the inflation percentage. I mean, at least what we're told.
Yeah.
In from July. I mean, we've seen gas prices kind of drop a fair bit compared to the over $2 that it was in the last few months. I heard it on the Hard Money podcast by Natalie Brunell. That's what kind of got me to look into it. And I mean, basically it's just like a little bit of the calm before the storm, because they're saying in September that they're expected to raise borrowing rates again. Mm-hmm.
They're just following what the United States is doing, what the Fed is doing, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they've already said they're going to do that.
Oh,
in the U.S., they've already said, "Listen, we're going to do it again. We're not satisfied with a leveling of inflation. We want to make inflation go down because they know that it's not a sustainable model, slowing the economy down because fiat money requires so much velocity in the economy to function correctly. They have to keep spending. If they raise interest rates too much, they've got themselves backed into a corner where high interest rates kills any economic growth. And in a system that's built and depends on economic growth to actually be successful, quote unquote successful, they know they're going to have to go back to spending money.
Yeah.
They're going to have to go back to quantitative easing, right? So they're over tightening now, I think, so that they can drive that inflation rate as low as possible, so they can turn around and inflate the dollar again and have, you know what I mean? They're almost like they're doing an overcorrection on purpose, so that they have more time to print more money going into the new year.
Yep. So I guess this would be tied into like the anti-inflation bill that the states had introduced.
Right, that doesn't actually affect inflation at all.
It's not anti-inflation, it's pro-inflation. Oh, lots of things coming down the tube for that. Canada tied their horse to the wagon of the WEF, the World Economic Forum, even further, working on developing a digital identification system. So what I was reading, it's essentially mirrors in the basics of it, mirroring the social credit system from the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Basically, that everything that, I mean, when you really dig into and look at what personal data of yours is online and easily available to most people with not even malicious intent, but people that are looking to sell your data for to make money. It's kind of staggering how much is available, but this is just another step in kind of where we're going as far as like what they're saying as the great reset, you know, those air quotes coming out again. But it's just, they're just trying to make it easier for Canadians to interact with the government in Canada. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. But
I mean, part of it is true that the systems, the bureaucracy is using in Canada they're very outdated, and services could definitely be improved if they employed, you know, good digital systems. I mean, if we look at the rollout of the Phoenix pay system for the Canadian federal public service, it's been a multi-billion-dollar boondoggle. Just a horrible waste of money. And I don't know that this will be any different as they attempt to digitize services. Definitely, governments do need to tighten up in some areas, and shifting from more clunky paper systems to digital systems that are actually interacting with each other would be a way to do that.
Well, I think the big danger here, though, because this is like many things that the government tries to do, or sometimes corporations try to do. This is one of those things that when you have a benevolent, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say benevolent ruler because doesn't always apply to government. But when the people who are administering that highly centralized and controlled technology, when that is benevolent and done for the good of the people, it actually works very well and is very efficient. The problem is the people who are doing it for the right reasons aren't always in position of controlling it forever. And so that's the problem, that down the road, those things can very easily then go too far and be used for malicious purposes and unjust purposes. And whenever you're dealing with fallible man, you know, you have to take that into account. I've always said that any law that has even the potential to be abused by someone in the future should not be a law.
Well, like two examples. So in China, they can just quickly and easily freeze bank accounts and prevent, you know, movement freedom, and all they had to do was just change it QR code, like a quick read, quick response code.
Right.
The second example is the Canadian truckers protest. Like, the government that's bringing this system in is the same one that was freezing people's accounts.
That's right.
And
it should terrify everybody.
On not a fan of it.
Both sides of the floor. I will make the point though about the Chinese system, that I think it's highly misrepresented here in the West. It's not universal throughout China. It is being run in very specific cities, and it's far from perfect. And they're running it in certain areas, sort of still in testing phases. And that is not widespread across the entirety of China. So even, I mean, granted, they have way more people than Canada does, but even there where they have a totalitarian government, they're still not able to just blanket implement it across the population,
right,
at this point. And so it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out here in Canada.
So you know us, we can't leave a show untouched without talking about crypto or Bitcoin. I guess so actually two of the exchanges that I've used in Canada to buy altcoins, which I shouldn't have. Regrets. Lessons learned, actually, is probably a better way to say it. BitBuy and Newton. So they're both Ontario based, and in an effort to protect crypto investors, and make them more aware of risks. I'm quoting from Cointelegraph now. There's a 30,000. I mean, man, I would love to be able to spend 30,000 Canadian dollars in crypto. in a year. But it's basically, it's just like they're just capping your spend limit on their exchanges. And it started with a questionnaire. Now it's not all like entirely inclusive. Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah,
I missed that. What?
That really struck me as funny because I was like, okay, I understand why Bitcoin could be on there
Ethereum
because
as
it's
well.
very different, and I can understand why Ethereum would be on
of.
there because it's so expensive. Those are like the
Yeah.
higher end cryptos to buy, like Bitcoin Cash
Litecoin.
and Litecoin.
What?
Yeah, so
Just 'cause
those are
they're
exempt
Hmm.
from this rule.
I wonder if that's because there's high volumes coming into the exchanges from other exchanges in Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. So they don't want to prevent customers shifting
Oh, I
large
see.
portions of their trading liquidity over to
But
their
that's
own
not.
exchange.
But that I wonder if that would count as a purchase though, because this is saying purchases, or maybe. But I wonder if it's meaning all purchases or only purchases with fiat, or do they consider trading one crypto for another a purchase?
From what I can see, I think it's just fiat because
Okay.
it's saying limit used, calculated net purchases available to buy, and it's using the Canadian dollar price symbol. It's funny because a couple months ago, I was trying to get some privacy coins, and I have a very roundabout way of getting the privacy coins. Anyway, and I went to go use BitBuy, and it's like, oh, we have a new questionnaire for you to fill out. Okay, whatever. So I answered a few more questions, like, okay, we got another one. I'm thinking, oh boy. The next question was like, what's your partner or spouse? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I'm out. And apparently it's to determine whether or not I'm a qualified retail investor.
This is basically a tiered system where they decide if you're just a regular person or one of the elites qualified to invest. And I don't know, is this just a cynical view of the population and saying, well, we're going to rank them with, here's tier 1, probably stupid. We won't let them spend more than 30,000. Tier 2 is moderately stupid. They can spend up to 50,000. And then if you're in the good class, you know how to sip tea out of the cup the right way, you can spend as much as you desire.
Oh my land!
I think the way I see it is this is the tip of the inevitable regulation of the crypto industry.
Yeah.
So this is Luna happened, Celsius happened, all these shit coins and scams that were some of them legit Ponzi schemes like Luna was.
Doge,
any of these other, by thinking more the actual scams.
Yeah, okay.
Like Luna.
Yes, true.
But those things failed and stole people's money. This was the what government needed to do what government does and leave no crisis go unwasted.
Yeah.
To say, okay, we need to step in and protect our citizens here, right? By removing individual responsibility for actions.
Yeah. Now the accredited investor thing is not a brand new scheme. This has been applied to other trading and stock platforms, I believe. It's not a space I'm familiar with, but I've definitely seen these terms, accredited investor, in these other spaces. So is this just? But we need to apply some regulation, and so they look around.
Yes.
And it's like.
Well, that's what I mean.
It's like looking for their old couch, and so they pull it out of storage and throw it at the new problem.
Well, I think that they would look at most of these things and say these things are these are a security.
Yeah.
Right? And I think most altcoins are securities.
Well, even Ethereum technically is.
And so this is a way to start pulling those into the securities world, thereby limiting it to accredited investors to utilize and stuff. So I think we're seeing it in little bits, but
the faucet's getting turned on faster and faster.
Yeah. So,
and the last one, Michael Saylor predicted Bitcoin is going to end up demonetizing gold over time. It's funny because
has gold already been demonetized?
Well, this would be an interesting debate.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, it depends on where you rank the different functions of money. Now, we see the view like laid out in the Bitcoin standard. It didn't really weight the different properties. You had, salability over space, salability over time, salability over scales.
Okay, here we go.
Basically, like the medium of exchange is treated about the same as store of value, or at least it doesn't differentiate relative value.
Right.
I've heard other economists take the point, well, money is almost entirely medium of exchange.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the other things are secondary.
Right.
So if you take that, for thing to be money-like, it has to be widely accepted as a medium of exchange. So is gold money if it's not being accepted, person to person, hand to hand?
Right.
So maybe you could say gold is not money. It has been demonetized.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. You can walk into any store now and they will simply say, "I'm not taking your gold," because I don't, for various reasons. It isn't accepted as a currency really at this point. It is accepted as a store of value. So
again, it's kind of splitting hairs. Is it just the fact that it is the go-to store of value, the reserve wealth of the world? Is that enough to still call it money?
Right. And that may be what he's talking about.
He's using the term demonetized, but basically he's saying Bitcoin will replace gold as the reserve currency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or not even reserve currency, simply reserve store of value. Yeah. So
if you look at like market cap and all these different kind of tools to talk about the scale of a certain asset. Yeah, Bitcoin is going to eat everything at some point, but gold is. What did he give a timeline on it?
He didn't get.
He
just
just
said
said that it will. Yeah.
Because I think we've seen Bitcoin at a little better than 1 trillion market cap, or is that total crypto, not just Bitcoin by itself? Bitcoin itself hit over 1 trillion, I believe, during the peak.
Follow market cap much, so I couldn't tell.
So thinking that through, it would have to be much bigger than simply $1 trillion in value to be comparable to the gold reserves. So I think we'd have to see Bitcoin at least, I don't know, at least 500,000 US before we actually can start talking about it being as big as gold.
Aren't we going to be there by Christmas?
Well, I don't know about that. I think I'll take the under.
Yeah.
But long term, it is something I've thought about because it makes a difference in whether or not gold is a sensible buy right now.
Yes.
And I will say most likely gold is still the safest thing. But it is interesting because gold used to be the 100% thing, or at least, so close to 100 that it was almost indistinguishable.
That's right.
The scenarios that could devalue gold are pretty much implausible. It's like if we hit a gigantic reserve of gold out of nowhere, or like a gold asteroid. Yeah. Sails by Earth and we go mine it or something. Rope it in. Yeah. So given Bitcoin's rise, though, does the potential for a purely digital reserve make the physical reserve a little less of a sure thing? And I think yes.
Well,
I think you lose from almost indistinguishable. You go from almost indistinguishable from 100% safe to maybe you're down to 99% if you're looking at a long-term outlook.
Well, it's even. I don't think it's even to say it's not safe. It's just that there's something now superior, and so that just makes it the more desirable thing. So why would you invest in? Like you could say that investing in property as an asset is safe in a sense, but it's less desirable than gold for lots of different practical reasons. Just like Bitcoin is superior to gold in a lot of different ways. People are going to tend to go towards the best money. We've talked about that a lot of times, and that will gold ever be worth zero? No, probably not. It's always going to be worth something. but it's
Mhm.
not going to be the place you go when the economy is shaky
Mm.
anymore, right? That's
Mhm.
the I think what's going to be replaced. You're not going to see that. Gold it's already flattened out quite a bit, and it may kind of stay flat for a while. Maybe it will start to devalue some. I don't know, but
Mm.
yeah.
My prediction would be gold is still a safe reserve.
For now, yes.
It doesn't
absolutely.
have the potential for gain that Bitcoin does.
No.
But I think it'll be safe. And even if we continue to see it transition, or I'll continue to see, maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit. I don't know how many people have, well, a lot of people have shifted from looking at buying, another ounce of gold and they look at buying Bitcoin instead already. So as we see that go from, a few million people looking at things that way, so that number continues to grow, we'll be seeing a shift. And I don't think that will ever fully supplant gold, but it will mean we won't see some of the insane jumps in gold price we have in the past.
Yeah.
When there's a economic panic, you won't see gold shoot up 20%.
Right.
But it'll still maintain value. Yeah. Potentially, if the world economy continues to grow, we'll see, and gold wasn't the reserve, maybe we'd see more gold being used in industrial applications.
True.
So it's hard to predict which way the future could go.
Yeah.
We could see more of the internals of our cell phones built with gold as a superior electrical conductor.
Yeah, that's true. Cell phones, ain't alive.
I'd say the bottom line is don't put all your eggs in a single basket.
Yeah, it's true. The basket's gonna fall and things are gonna crack eventually.
All right, I think that wraps up the news stories we picked out for this week.
Yep.
If you guys see anything else you'd really love for us to comment on, go ahead and send us some listener feedback at changingnormal@protonmail.com. You can send us a news link, and we'd be happy to riff on any story that's not taking us into the realm of Hollywood or the things we don't touch on. We're not into pop culture, so don't try and spam us with that. But anything related to improving our lives and our communities, we'd take a look at that. And if you want to send feedback on the show, shoot us that as well. You can comment on our YouTube videos if that's easy for you. I'd love to get some hate comments on there. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow on our platforms such as YouTube, Odysee, and check out Fountain if you haven't yet. It's a great app where you can earn Bitcoin by listening, and you can also stream Bitcoin to your favorite content producers. And with that, thanks for listening, and remember, take small steps, be courageous, and change your normal.